Welcome to my first cooking video. Tonight we're making one of my family's favorites, which is meatballs with a healthy added twist of hidden vegetables so the kids don't know that they're there. And what I've done is I've started and I've done all the prep work. That took me about 15 to 20 minutes to cut up all the vegetables. I had some leftover cauliflower rice, which was just minced cauliflower in the food processor. And so I'm going to use that. And 2 pounds of grass-fed ground beef. I've got about a cup of Parmesan cheese, which is raw and unpasteurized. 1 whole zucchini, 1 small head of broccoli, about a half of an onion, and I don't know, 6 mushrooms. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the vegetables in the food processor and blend them down to a puree so that you can't even tell that they're there. Okay, so sometimes the vegetables have more liquid than others, and on this particular occasion, either I don't have quite the right consistency of vegetables that are have more liquid than others, or I'm not really exactly sure why, but I'm going to try pushing it down and then re-pureeing, and if not, then I will add an egg or a little bit of water if you're vegan to make it more liquidy. Okay, so my food processor blade is actually currently broken, so I'm using a blender. So that took about 4 or 5 times of me scraping down the sides of the blender and then redoing it, and about 4 minutes total of blending. So I've gotten the vegetables completely liquefied, and now I'm going to add the herbs, which is oregano from the garden, which had been, our garden has been very dry lately, so it's dried, but that's fine, and basil, and then also I'm going to add some salt and pepper, and a tad bit of Italian seasoning, about 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And then I will re-blend, and then I will add to the meat. So I'm going to add about 1 cup, maybe slightly less, maybe slightly more, depending how you like it, of raw unpasteurized Parmesan cheese, and then the vegetables. And I'm not going to add them all at once because it really kind of depends on how liquid it is, how the meatballs come out. So I'm just going to try to I wanted about 1/3 vegetables, 2/3 meat. Maybe slightly more vegetables, but otherwise it cooks down and the vegetables are tiny and they don't really turn very brown. So I'm going to start with about that amount, and then I'm going to mix and knead, and then you will see what the meatballs look like. They'll be brown and you will not even really be able to tell that there's vegetables in there. Okay, so as you can see, once it's all blended together, it looks just like meatballs, and you can hardly even see that there's any vegetables in there. So what I do for the final step, just to prevent the kids from knowing at all that there's any vegetables in there, is I roll the meatballs out, and then I dip them in some ghee, which is clarified butter, and that helps them brown up really nicely. One other thing I forgot to mention is that you could use, and I have tried this out on a few occasions, using some Ezekiel breadcrumbs. I've just found with this particular recipe, if I get the liquid right from the vegetables, I just don't need any breadcrumbs, and the meatballs hold together very nicely, and then you have a gluten-free meatball. So here we go. Okay, so depending on the size of the meatball and the heat of your oven, I have mine set to 350, and my meatballs took between 25 and 30 minutes. And depending on the size of your meatball, it could take anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. And really, you should go based on smell. When it smells good, when it smells really good, try one and see if it's done. So my first batch here wasn't quite brown enough for me, and you can still see a little bit of vegetables in them. So, and I'm not really exactly sure why, because on other times that I've done this recipe, they've come out brown perfectly. So I went ahead and took the meatballs and put them into a skillet and browned them even more. So now you definitely can't see that there's any vegetables in them. And hopefully our kids will love them as they always do. So, what I'm going to prepare the meatballs with is some edamame noodles, which are way lower in carbs and higher in protein, and a wonderful, delicious homemade salad full of beautiful greens, nuts, seeds, berries, olives, and then for me, I decided to not do a homemade tomato sauce tonight because I was doing too many other things, and so this is just a jar of organic vodka sauce from Whole Foods and some additional Parmesan cheese to put on top, and everybody will be happy.